Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, there's no
So
I'm sorry. This is just testament to you being one. I'm not even trying to rush you. I'm saying, don't you worry. Pile on. We'll expand. Whatever doesn't get talked about, there's the future.
yeah. So what was the question? Let me get back to the question. I feel like I was just piling on. My
No,
bad.
now I want to talk about this clothing line shit because you said it's in conundrum to all the other shit. So it's
Yeah,
like, okay, now we got to pause and run that back, and you got to
yeah, yeah.
walk us through this clothing line adventure.
So when I was a kid, so when I was younger, I loved, I loved that I could earn money to buy clothes. Because when I was a kid, my mom wouldn't buy me Jordans. She wouldn't buy me like all the fancy stuff. So when I could work, I got my own stuff. But I noticed that when I went to the mall, I would I would always wind up having a shirt that somebody else had, which really bothered me. Like if I went to the downtown locker room and got a t-shirt that cost $35 and I wore it out, why the fuck does somebody have the same thing on that I have? So, I kind of I know that sounds weird, but I kind of
No,
voiced this
it
to
it
a
doesn't,
friend.
because I talked to a guy in New York who's all about style, and literally
Mm-hmm.
that's how he lives his life, is by this mantra of fashion. But
Yeah,
so it
yeah.
makes a lot of sense to me what you're saying.
I'm not against that, but like I'm talking about like I'd see five people with the same shirt on, right? So then somebody introduced me to streetwear and boutiques and things like that. So like I would travel all over the place to find these places that the shirts cost the same as they did in downtown locker room, but they were distributed a little less. They were also in sneaker shops, so like I was in the sneakers because I couldn't afford them when I was a kid. When I was growing up, my mom didn't get them for me. And then when I worked, I could buy them, and then I wanted to get rarer things. So I got into sneaker culture, and then I got into streetwear. And I noticed that things didn't have to cost a ton. And I was like, man, I should make my own t-shirts. So I designed with a friend a couple t-shirts, and I started selling them. I'm actually wearing one of my first designs that
All right,
went
you're gonna
like,
have to like stand up and show us that proper.
all right, so it's we believe in living under, this says, the Baltimore Sun.
Yo, that's fire.
So
Where?
this is like, so this is the Believe thing is from a Baltimore campaign from back in the day. And the Baltimore Sun is actually a Baltimore Sun paper. And they actually tried to sue me for the usage of the t-shirt, for the usage of the logo on the t-shirt. And that's kind of what got me into designing. So my friend, I started Status Apparatus with my friend. He was petrified of the idea of me putting the logo on the t-shirt. And I was like, if the Baltimore Sun contacts us, that means we're doing it right. That was my idea. So we put the t-shirt out, and it did really well. Sold like shit. Like anytime I put it into a store, this t-shirt sold like crazy. So I'm selling t-shirts, and I get a phone call from a guy from the Baltimore Sun. And I'm like petrified, man. I'm like terrified because I'm like, I was talking all like shit to my friend, like, if they catch us, they catch us. I'm like trying to be
I'm
t-shirt,
like, oh.
t-shirt Tupac. I'm trying to be t-shirt Tupac, spitting out the window. And the Baltimore Sun is like, we have a cease and desist that we get what to give you for the usage of the Baltimore Sun logo on your t-shirt. So I'm like, they asked me how many I've sold, and I tell them how many I've sold, and they're like, we want to come up with a number to pay us for the usage of the logo. And they come back to me like a week later, and it's like a small amount of money. And I'm like, I could pay for that. I could pay for it. They were like, we like the message, it's positive, but you can't sell anymore. And if you do, you got to come back to us. So I sold those t-shirts, and then I stopped selling that design, and then I just kept selling t-shirts. That stopped a little bit, and then it kept starting up, and it's kind of been going back and forth.
Can we just tap into one amazing thing you did with your T-shirt design? Is you tapped into the lore of your community.
Mm,
Yo, I'm really fascinated by lore. I'm like trying to identify what the fuck Montreal lore is. Not Montreal with the French side, and not Quebec, the Quebec. Like I
right.
want to know what the fuck Montreal, the English side's lore is. So I'm like super fascinated about how you're able to tap into these elements, and by doing so, you were able to move the product because the community
Yeah.
just wanted that regardless of who you were.
So normally, so think about it like this, like think about the things that make people happy. One of them is like iconology, like, like logos and stuff like that. So think about like old restaurants that used to exist. Think about like city slogans that used to exist, like campaigns. You do stuff like that and you connect in a different way to people. So, I figured that out through that experiment that, like, you know, that sort of thing works. I actually have, let me show you another thing.
Get it.
All right. So it's another thing. So I designed, so one of my favorite teams is the Baltimore Bullets, but I really like the Washington Bullets, who became the Washington Wizards. And the Baltimore Bullets had this like logo that I used on status apparatus, which is like the like upside down grab your hands, but the regular one was like this. It was like up this way.
Right.
But I flipped it and that's sold really well. So you do things that remind people of things that they've known, and it sells. It tends to sell. You connect to people with people through stuff like that. I have a slight obsession with materials. I got that made from scratch in a factory overseas. I have a obsession with clothes, but like streetwear is my thing. But like I would love to make like different shit. But that's
So you were in the middle of everything else you were doing, pushing the
yes,
streetwear the whole time.
the whole time in
Boom,
between that.
boom. And how are you doing it? Is it like locally? You reach out to people like in the
Man,
stores, like
that's a good question. So Holden, like I said, it's a utility thing, right? So the key to figuring out how things work are talking to the people that buy things. So I got cool with the buyers at a shop in Frederick, Maryland. Um, and then I got cool with a shop owner in Baltimore. And I would come with designs and say, yo, what's selling right now? And here's some designs. What would make this something you would put in the shop? And this dude would just point at stuff and be like, look, this needs drop shadow, this text needs to be thicker, this needs to go here. And I would make those t-shirts and bring them back to him. I would have designs. So like it didn't feel like I was losing my designs. He would just tell me things to make them better. And I would print out just those shirts that he would suggest, bring them back, and they would sell them. So I learned how to make things that could sell through a buyer
so. If we bring
for a
that back
shop.
to music land,
Mm-hmm.
you listen to the producer. You're the rapper who listened to the producer, and then his song sold pretty well.
Say it again.
You're like the rapper who listened to the producer, not the beat
Yes.
maker, the producer.
Yes. That's exactly what it is.
And then
That's
you
exactly what it
listened to
is.
the advice. Your song became better, and after your song became better, it performed, and you achieved greatness in life.
Yeah.
But you did that with
Yeah.
the world of fashion, and that's so fucking cool that you were just.
And it was
so,
small, man. Like I would ship, like, look, I would ship things overseas and stuff like that. But I would kind of put it out every couple years and then pull back. And I do it every couple years. I'll put something out that sells pretty well, and then I'll go into my cave again. And then I started up a t-shirt company during the course of the pandemic because I was literally not able. I was like, how am I going to supplement all of this gas and electric? Like, how am I going to pay for this? We're at home a lot more. There's a lot more electricity. I need something to do that could kind of pay those bills. So I started a small t-shirt company
that is
called
such a hustle.
yeah, it's called T Jam Goods, and it's an Etsy store that does like a lot of pop culture based stuff. I
So
have
you make the designs and then you sell them.
yeah, there it's like yeah, it's automated. You order it on Etsy, sends it to the manufacturer, it gets shipped to the person.
Damn, that's pretty fucking solid.
Yeah, man. So I'm doing that for 6 or 7 months now. I got about 500 sales so far. So
Damn.
yeah,
So
man.
I guess that paid your hydro bill or electric bills.
Yeah, they pay my electric bills, which then helped me get a house, which is fucking crazy to think about.
So your clothing company helped you get a house.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking great for a COVID hustle.
Look, man, you got to make it happen. I know it's a weird thing to say, but like, you got to be transparent about that kind of stuff. I don't know if anybody would ever. Yeah, so like the hustle that became a hustle to just pay the electricity bills, help my wife and I move into a house. It didn't pay for the whole house, but it helped with the down payment. So you come up with. I'm like I said, I'm a utility person. I think about a thing that I need to do, and then that leg that I got cut off, I feel the peg. That peg is whatever I want to use the utility for at the time. I know that sounds weird, but like that's
Nah,
that's the
none
way
of
that I
this
think
sounds
about.
weird. None of this sounds weird to me. It might sound weird to other people, but I live my life super similarly. I try. I needed to meet people, so I started doing interviews,
Shaboom.
and it worked out really well. I happened to be doing an interview format that apparently some people fuck with. It's nice. It's lovely. I say that because nobody's complained after like my interview was shit from the interviewee perspective. I mean, maybe a one
All
tweet
right.
didn't like it, whatever. But like, people seem to act like, nah, your shit's different. I don't know. You hear somebody go, your shit's different at 50, 60 times. You go,
Yeah. My shit's
utilitarian
different.
kicks in. You're like, maybe there's something here that I'm doing that other
Is that the
people are
voice you
not.
used? Is that the E where you're like, maybe this? Like it's
In
like
my
a
head, I don't know. It's my like, my Jewish thinking voice. Like when I get into my like, like super like mensch mode. It's what it is.
I get what you're saying.
But like sometimes, like yeah, like it's to be like 100% serious. Do I picture my life as this? No. Do I want to be spending like as much time streaming live to the internet as I do when it's beautiful outside and people are like outside in the hot sun and I'm inside in the hot not sun but still hot? Like nah, it's not like ideal, but there's also like a really big need for like English media in Montreal. It doesn't
Oh wow.
exist unless we make it because of language politics that are comparable to all kinds of other discrimination issues, but not the same because it's language, which
Yeah.
is a lot more solvable than other kinds of things. But it's like to the point where they're trying to restrict, or I don't know, they may have done it where like the doctors don't have to give you medical help in English in Montreal, city of 4 million people and heavy tourism. It's kind of whack, no?
That is super whack, man.